I'm a huge fan of art style study videos. In fact, I believe I might have watched every single one of them on YouTube by now. And I don't think there are nearly enough. So I thought it's about time I joined in on the fun too. And who better to start with than the most popular artist to study, Ask. Hi, hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Eris and today we are going to be doing an art style study on Ask. Ask is a popular Japanese artist who makes intricately detailed pieces with beautiful color schemes. She's also the artist behind Surtur from Arknights. Her style is possibly the one attempted the most in similar art style study videos on YouTube. There are even several categories emerging out of these videos that focus on her colors, or compositions, or the way she draws people, for example. These sorts of videos always motivate me to draw, so I hope that my video will have a similar effect too. Needless to say, this video was inspired by TPPO, Saria, and Noah Look. If any of you end up seeing this video, I'd just like to say keep up the good work, I love what you guys do. I know that there are more people doing art style studies out there, but these three are my heroes, truly, so don't forget to check them out after this video. Before we truly begin, I wanted to play a quick test. Here are several of Ask's works, but one of them is an odd one out. Could you guess which one? You'll have to wait and find out until the second part of the video where I make an original illustration in Ask's style. But don't forget to tell me if you were able to guess it just now in the comments below later. Without further ado, let's get into the style analysis. I will also cue the speed paint of my replica that I tried making as I talk more. I picked a simpler drawing on purpose to try and recreate. Even though Ask is the person whose style is the most attempted, it's safe to say we know very little about her actual process. Some things can be gathered from her Pixiv interviews, but it's not much. She uses Paint Tool Sai to draw and uses Photoshop to do finishing touches. I suppose this means stuff such as liquify, color correction and the like, cause as we know, Paint Tool Sai severely lacks color correction options. I will be using the same things, except instead of Photoshop, I will be using Clip Studio for corrections as I don't have Photoshop, plus Clip Studio can do the same things anyway. We can also gather that she does not use layer modes. She said it washes out the colors or muddies them. I don't remember exactly what the wording was, but the point is that she only uses normal layers throughout her process. Which I like. I think it makes the colors more vibrant and fun. I made it my goal for these art style study videos to try my best to use the same tools and methods as the artist I'll be studying to best understand why they do the things they do. I happen to have a bone to pick with people who say it does not matter, and I can explain why. I, for example, last summer did some rogue studies of Ask by myself, although they are not the same type as we are doing today. And they kinda ended up being something entirely else, but ever since then, I changed my method from doing line art and using layer modes to doing colored sketches and rendering that out. On very few layers, I prefer one, but if I have a background I need to separate a few things, of course. And also avoiding layer modes. What I'm trying to say with this is that you can clearly see a sharp change in my style after I've done the studies. And it's because it's a completely different technique and brushes used. You wouldn't try to make a messy, painterly art with clean line art, for example. This is why I think it's important to understand the process of an artist so you can best replicate their work, since we are studying them after all. That being said, since we never actually see a speed paint from Ask or anything of this sort, we can only go off of guesses. My guess was that she probably does a sketch she just renders out later, and it's mostly cause of her line work that I'm guessing this. But then again, we don't really know for sure. It is what I ended up doing in my study, however. During the study, I realized her lines are very delicate and it was actually a bit difficult for me to try to maintain, since I happen to be a bit more heavy-handed, it seems. Something she does that I think is great is that she details everything around the focal point, in this case the face, but as we move away from it, she actually does a more smudged, painterly look on the clothes. This is a great way to bring attention to the face. I struggled a bit with the hair, but I think it ended up coming out alright. Just don't look too close. For the finishing touches, I went into Clip Studio Paint and did some color correction along with a tiny bit of Liquify. I feel like her art is definitely much softer than mine, even though I tried my best. Hers I think also looks more mature. It sort of makes sense though, because my normal style is a bit more simple and youthful looking, I guess. In the end, I'm quite proud of how this copy turned out. Obviously it's not perfect by any chance, but I mean, I'd say it's adjacent. Moving on from the copy, now I will be attempting the style on my own with an original illustration. I, of course, chose Kazuki as my model. People who know me already know why. But for the people who are new, this is Kazuki, main character of my comic Great Escape from 2022, and he is my favorite OC. He has been for a very long time now. Currently, he is also my profile picture everywhere. I love him very much, so I decided to draw him in his spring outfit version facing back. Something Ask does often is have the characters face away from the viewer, but still look at them. That's exactly what I decided to do here. She said in her Pixiv interview that the gazes of her characters are what she works on the most when creating an illustration. And I didn't expect to, but I also kept going back to the eye throughout the process to really perfect it. Something I didn't mean to have this time was an object that leads the composition, but turns out my random backstrap that I did the job for me without me thinking too much about it, so that was nice. I had fun doing the hair this time on my own. When I had to copy, I had a bit of a pressure on me, but I think doing it alone helped me feel a bit more free or at ease. I had to tussle with the colors throughout cause I couldn't pre-correct them in Paint.si, of course, but I figured out a different way to do it anyway. The thing I feel like I did have trouble with was the vest. It was outside of the focal point, so I went ahead and used a more painterly brush for this step, but the colors were not on my side, so I had to go through a few versions until I found my footing. Only later did I realize that I could have gone with a more sharper look as well, because Ask does do that, just like way less detailed than the focal point, of course, but I forgot about that, so let's not talk about that. I think the last second atmospheric light really saved it though. I added it to other parts of the drawing as well. After all that was done, it was time to head into Clip Studio Paint for some liquefying and color corrections. I messed around with the colors for quite a bit until I found something that I was happy with. And here's the finished version! In the beginning of the video, were you able to guess that this one was the odd one out? Of course, long-time viewers might have noticed Kazuki right away, but either way, I feel like this one turned out much better than my copy. I was able to make it softer and more delicate, so I'm quite proud of this. Let me know in the comments if you think I succeeded at replicating Ask's style or not. But of course, this is all for fun and also for learning, so nothing too serious here. I would love to do more art style study videos whenever my time allows, and I even have a few artists in mind that I want to try studying. But please, if you have any you would love to see me do in a video, leave them down in the comments below. Hope that you guys enjoyed this video and maybe even learned something new during it. If you want to see art from me that doesn't make it into videos, you can check out my Instagram and Twitter at eris_vt. And if you'd like to read my webcomics, you can also find me on Webtoon by searching eris.png. But all the links will be in the description down below. With that being said, I will see you guys next time, but until then, bye bye!